I recently got back from visiting a retirement community in Florida. My family and I visited my wife's mom for spring break, and she lives in a community of mainly 55 plus residents. So while we were there, we were walking around, we're playing pickleball and going to the pool. I got to talk to a few people, a few residents who live there, and we had conversations. And one of the things that I asked them, because I was thinking about you actually while I was down there, so I asked them, what advice would you give to a soon-to-be retiree or a recently retired person? So in this video, I want to share what their sage advice is, and then also what to expect really in the first 5 years after retiring. If I haven't met you yet, I'm Dave Zoller, and I own Streamline Financial with Tim and Luke and Sean, and we make these videos specifically on retirement for people like you. If you're interested, then subscribe so that you don't miss the next one. We usually put out about one per week. So here are the top pieces of advice from the retirees in that community, the one that we were just visiting. First one is, retirement, it feels like a vacation, but only for a little bit, really only for a few months, sometimes only for a few weeks. There's certainly this freedom that comes with retirement, and really no one's telling you where to go, or you don't have to set up an alarm clock anymore, and you don't have to be at specific places at specific times, and it's a great feeling. And even if you do move to one of these communities in a tropical place with palm trees and things like that, it looks like a constant vacation, but eventually you'll reach a point where it really just becomes the norm. It's just another day, and you get kind of used to it. I talk a little bit about this in another video that I'll link to here or in the description below that addresses the 5 stages of retirement and what to expect there. And one of them, really the third stage, is one that people get caught off guard by, and it's kind of in line with sort of like a low period or kind of a depression period. But there's ways around that. That video talks about it. And this one alone, that expectation of thinking that life would be a constant vacation in retirement, and then realizing that it's not, that could cause some stress if that's what the expectation was. So knowing this ahead of time, it's going to help you as you're planning your own retirement and then eventually getting into it. The second thing that I heard was social relationships are key. For those who move to a retirement community, they usually end up moving where they don't know many people in this new community. Maybe they know one or two, but a lot of times it's a complete change in their social dynamics. And that's why these places, like this place that we were just at, they try so hard to get to people to connect, and they do a good job of it. One of the nights that I was there, my 7-year-old and I were playing pickleball, and we heard just across the way that there was a party going on at the clubhouse for former Illinois residents. So we tried going there after pickleball, but it was just wrapping up, so we never got to see what it was like. But it seemed like they did a good job of getting people to connect and really connect with people in similar circumstances as their peers. But for those of you who are not moving to a retirement community, ask yourself this question: who do I desire to build stronger relationships with in retirement, and why? So maybe write that down, maybe think about it, and think about those relationships that you want to build. The third thing is something that with the residents that I talked to didn't flat out say, but it's something to be aware of when you retire, and it has to do with especially if you're in a relationship. And the thing is, retirement can put stress on your relationship. If you're both retired, you're both going to be spending all day together, whereas in the past, one or both of you was working or out of the house most of the time. So the advice here is get your partner's expectation of retirement before you guys actually retire, and then decide who's going to do what around the house, and just make sure that the responsibilities and the roles and chores and whatever it is divvied up or re-divvied up so that you know what to expect getting there. The next thing I'm going to share was actually the piece of advice that was most frequently given by the people in this retirement community. But first, if you're watching this video up to this point and you've liked it so far, please click the like button so that hopefully you can help someone else and the video can spread and help someone else in a similar situation as you. On to the fourth thing, really the most common one that I heard from people when I asked, what advice would you give to a soon-to-be retired person? The answer was, do it sooner. I guess I didn't run into one person who had regretted that decision of retiring. Now, one thing to note, of course, you have to have a solid retirement plan built for multiple scenarios, both the good scenarios and bad. And I recommend making sure that you really map out the non-financial part of retirement too, so that you can make sure that your retirement days are full of joy and peace and fulfillment. The next thing to expect in your first 5 years of retirement, this one, if you can do it, it'll really help increase your peace of mind around your finances while you're in retirement. So there's so many things that are happening in the world right now and that could impact our finances and our retirement plans. And a mistake that some people make is that they do all this work planning for this upcoming date in retirement, and they feel great about the plan and it's all set, and then they retire, but then they don't continue to monitor or check up on their plan. They might look at the investment statements and the amounts in the accounts, but they don't continue to adjust the actual retirement income plan or take advantage of some of the tax and investment strategies that are available to them to help even save them more money or increase the chances of success of their plan. So if you go too long without doing that, you may start to drift off course ever so slightly. And it's not a big deal in the beginning because you don't really see any changes, but over time you kind of see where you were headed and then where you're actually going, the gap grows. So regular checks, regular retirement income checks, either with an advisor or somebody, or just doing it yourself is really important. So the thing to remember is that retirement planning and financial planning, it doesn't stop once you retire. The plan, you've heard me say this before, the plan isn't valuable, but it's that process of continual planning that is. I hope that video was helpful for you. If you like this sort of retirement specific video, subscribe so that you don't miss the next one, and then I'll see you there. Take care.